Now that we are finally in the month of December, we are just 18 days away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker by director J.J. Abrams, Disney, Lucasfilm, and even creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very much worried about or excited about has all to do with exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm are going to essentially pretty much make this movie as the culmination of the Skywalker saga and exactly how they're going to utilize the film in a sense that it connects to the prequels and the originals in different ways. Now, we do know that Disney and Lucasfilm went through many different changes and adjustments to the second and third acts of Episode 9 during the months of August, September, and October. I don't know if you guys were aware, but those months were big months for Disney and Lucasfilm to essentially restructure the entire movie, essentially, and to reset specific scenes in order to change the overall tone, and that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy wanted to do, in order to really make this movie cater to a general audience more so without getting confused. Now, specifically, what's really unfortunate has all to do with the changes and adjustments that led to deleted scenes in Episode 9, where it's explained that through many of the rewrites and reshoots of the film during the months of August, September, and October, is when many changes and adjustments were made to the second and third acts of the movie. Now, it's explained that many of these changes by Disney and Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy were placed into the film because they wanted to change the overall tone of the film to cater to a general audience. It said that one of the major scenes that were cut in the second and third acts of the movie was actually going to involve a flashback between Luke and Snoke in the form of a vision that is formed through both Rey and Kylo Ren's eyes during their Force bond. It's explained that originally there was going to be a small yet vital sequence between Luke and Snoke in the movie that was ultimately cut that would answer specific questions to why both Luke and Snoke had a grudge against each other on screen, visually speaking. Also, it's noted that all of the flow-walking scenes between Rey and Kylo Ren were deleted, where these scenes were said to establish a new power that both Rey and Kylo would utilize that would bring them to witness elements of the past very much like the Worlds Between Worlds, except where both Rey and Kylo would see visions of Anakin and Kenobi fighting on Mustafar, as well as Darth Vader and Luke fighting within Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back and other visions of the past. It's explained that every single flow-walking scene was deleted by Disney and Lucasfilm, and was described to be the most important aspect of nostalgia for the movie that was actually used for, and that was actually deleted scenes, of course, for Episode 9 from the past 8 Star Wars films, that were now going to be reworked into the forms of visions of the past. Now, that both Rey and Kylo would eventually experience these visions while holding hands and actually witnessing the flow-walking sessions. Now, this power was actually said to be initiated by Kylo Ren during their time in the strange, dark environment that resembles the Worlds Between Worlds, where additionally it's explained that another sequence that was deleted from the film is where originally they were going to keep Anakin Skywalker as the Chosen One and the character to destroy Palpatine once and for all by taking Palpatine into the netherworld of the Force. Now, basically, what's really intriguing about that is that this would eventually destroy the dark side energy that belongs to Palpatine that makes up his body, where it said that this scene was partially shot and nearly complete before it got cut and based on Palpatine's real death from the Star Wars Dark Empire comic line, when a Jedi brought Palpatine into the netherworld of the Force. Now, lastly, it's explained that one of the other segments deleted from the film involved Palpatine sequences where he would use a lightsaber against both Rey and Kylo, where it said that Palpatine's screen time in the film was reduced by 30% compared to the initial cut of the movie before reshoots and rewrites by J.J. Abrams and Lucasfilm. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why I think that this is a historic failure on Disney and Lucasfilm's part of deleting these key moments in the movie that I think fans would have went wild over. So let's go over a couple of parts about these major decisions by Disney and Lucasfilm. In case you guys are out of the loop, they basically changed vital parts of Episode 9's second and third acts of the movie that involved many different flashbacks, vision sequences, story elements that would really move the characters forward, as well as reducing screen time for key characters in the movie. I would definitely have to say that the one that bothers me the most is reducing Palpatine's screen time by 30%. And that, to me, I think is the major thing for me that kind of really just lets me down here for Episode 9, is the fact that they reduced his screen time by 30% in comparison to the initial cut that had more scenes, even scenes where Palpatine used a saber against both Rey and Kylo Ren, where this version of Palpatine was going to be more like the Palpatine that fans know and love in, of course, Revenge of the Sith. Now, mind you, he never used a lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. I totally understand that. But at the same exact time, Disney needs to realize that a handful of fans grew up with the prequel trilogy era and view the prequel trilogy as one of the stronger points related to Palpatine. So Palpatine is basically the strong point of the prequel trilogy movies, and without a doubt, that was probably the best, part about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is witnessing exactly how Palpatine becomes the Palpatine that we all know and love, appearance-wise, in the original trilogy. The other thing that I think really bothers me, and how it's going to bother a lot of fans as well, is how originally there was going to be a key moment at the very end of Episode 9, where Anakin Skywalker would remain as the Chosen One, where he would destroy Palpatine once and for all by bringing him over to the netherworld of the Force, by literally holding on to Palpatine and transporting him over to the netherworld. Now, that to me would have been a far better death for Palpatine than how his death is delivered in the current version of Episode 9, where basically Palpatine's own power kills himself, where Rey is able to reflect the lightning back at Sidious, causing him to disintegrate into pieces. It's said to be very similar to how Harry Potter defeats Voldemort in the Deathly Hallows Part 2. So that is another failure on Disney and Lucasfilm's part, is by completely dismissing Anakin Skywalker as the Chosen One and keeping him as the Chosen One to destroy the Sith once and for all, even in the afterlife, even as he is a Force ghost. It would have been so amazing to see that on the big screen. The fact that they switched it over to Rey, I can't wrap my head around that. I mean, I understand that this is Rey's story. I also understand that this movie, Disney and Lucasfilm, they don't want to make it all about the Skywalkers, but you have the title called The Rise of Skywalker. Fans would ultimately actually expect to see something epic around the lines of Anakin and/or Luke doing something just like that was ultimately cut from Episode 9's initial version of the movie before they made all the reshoots and the rewrites during those specific months. So the fact that now, this time, Rey is the Chosen One, and that Rey destroys Palpatine once and for all, I think is a bad decision as well. The fact that they had already shot the scene for Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker destroying Sidious once and for all, and staying and remaining as the Chosen One, that would have been the better way to go, because as we all know, George Lucas has stated before in the past, Anakin is and always will be the Chosen One. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to that. He will always be the Chosen One. Let's not forget about what was told by, of course, the episode surrounding Mortis in the Clone Wars, where Anakin is told that he is the Chosen One. So that's the thing here, is that this movie seems like it's retconning aspects, or is kind of being a little contradictory to the past, and that Disney is resetting certain elements of the Skywalker saga. Now, the last thing I think a lot of fans are either going to be glad about or unhappy about this decision is the fact that they deleted all of the flow walking scenes. Now, the flow walking segments were going to be scenes that would allow both Rey and Kylo Ren to witness key moments of the past, key scenes of the Skywalker saga, basically where Rey and Kylo Ren would witness both Vader and Luke fighting to the death on, of course, Bespin and Cloud City, or both Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting on Mustafar, and witnessing all of the iconic saber battles between key characters that would actually be a part of the Skywalker saga that Rey and Kylo Ren would witness. The flow walking technique, by the way, was yet another Star Wars Legends idea that J.J. Abrams was going to bring into Episode 9. These were also cut, and all of which were cut from the movie, that are no longer going to be a part of Episode 9. Once again, I think that that's another failure, the fact that they spent so much money on these scenes, and how a lot of that had to do with the budget of Episode 9, and all the reshoots and the rewrites just upped the budget of Episode 9. If it doesn't do too well at the box office, that really can spell a recipe for disaster. So, with that being said, guys, let me know what you think about all of these decisions by Disney and Lucasfilm, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.